All right, welcome everyone to our latest edition of HoopsU. That's what we call our little chat here between me and Rapheal Davis. And we're pleased to be joined by Northwestern head coach Chris Collins. And Chris, we've been doing this weekly over the last month or so with your peers in the Big Ten, trying to prep ourselves for the season. And you guys had another great year to get to the NCAA tournament, second time since 2017. And key pieces are coming back, so there's a lot of optimism that you can do it again. Let's go back, I guess, starting with Boo, in terms of that decision process when the season ended. You know, you lose to UCLA in a really good game. How soon after did you have to start to work on, okay, who could I get back? You know, in what way? And I know you didn't get chased, but how did you all figure that out?
Probably about 5 minutes after the buzzer sounded. If you talk to all coaches, the spring has kind of become, such a roster management, I say chaos, so to speak, from the time your season ends, kind of all the way up until summer, when they report for summer workouts. So, as soon as we got back from, a tough loss and obviously end of a great year, you get right away with your guys, each of them individually. You meet about the year, kind of what went well, what wasn't so good, and how you move forward with each of them. And, I think it was most pressing, especially with guys now with this COVID window, these guys that can be the super seniors, so to speak, to get with those guys right away and just get a feeling from them kind of where their heads were at, what they were thinking. In Boo's case, I really wanted him and encouraged him to explore the professional route. Why not? Why not get some feedback? Why not do some workouts? Why not kind of see where you stand, towards the next level? It's what all these guys want to do. And then once we get that feedback, let's figure out what's going to be best for you. And, I think as the spring wore on, you could kind of see where his heart was. He was working hard. He was, going towards the draft, but he was hanging around. He was in the gym every day. He was with the guys. You could tell there was kind of some unfinished business with him, and that his heart, was still here at Northwestern. So, it was a real easy meeting. He came in, we talked, and he said, Coach, I feel like I got more to prove. I think I can get better. I love what we have coming back, and, I want to give this thing another go. So certainly made my day a lot more fun, getting that news, knowing that you're going to have a guy of that caliber as a fifth-year point guard, back in the fold.
So let me just follow up real quick, Raphael. So what is his status? I know he had a hand injury earlier in the summer. Obviously, he's a great leader if he's not actually physically playing. What's his status as we get ready for preseason?
Yeah, he's going to be ready to go. You never want to see anyone get injured. I kind of hope maybe it can be a little bit of a blessing in disguise. It gave him a chance, I think, maybe his body to heal up. He really went right from the season right to pre-draft workouts. Raphael knows that. That's a tough time. When you're trying to impress NBA scouts and things, you're grinding, working out a couple days, a couple times a day, really getting after it. So he really didn't get much of a break. So I'm hoping maybe this, 6 to 8 week period where he's had to let his hand heal, get off his legs a little bit. He has been able to run and do other things, which has been nice, but, and maybe it was a little bit of a time for him to refresh his body and get himself ready to have a great senior year.
Coach, I look at Boo and especially in today's age, player movement. I mean, there's really no loyalty left in the game. And Boo is a guy you took a chance on, and then he turned out to be a pretty good player. He could have left the program and went somewhere else, but he decided, I want to win here. And I don't, even like you're just saying, coming around the program, unfinished business. What's it like to have a player like that has your back and has loyalty to the program and wants to see it in a better place when he leaves?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me personally. I mean, we're in a time, in day and age of college basketball where you see so much movement, and, there's not a program in the country that wouldn't have liked to have Boo Buie, and he could have done that. He had gotten his degree from Northwestern, had another year to play, probably could have gone anywhere in the country, but, his loyalty and belief in us, in our program, what we're doing, what we're continuing to try to build, to come back and to kind of cap that off, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to us. And it's a great example, for everyone in the program, as we start this thing, like your best players all in on this. And when that happens, I think you have a chance to be successful because, your leadership is in a really good place.
And Coach, what just about the summer? Because I can remember I remember we finished last place in the Big Ten, and I would hear Coach Brentley come in, and he would talk about going recruiting and having his hood on or something. And then that next year, we had success. We went to the tournament, and coaches it was a little better going out on the trail. So what was that like this summer after going to the tournament, having success? You have Chase Audige going off in the summer league and Boo Buie all-conference player. So was that different the offseason, not just for the coaches, but also the guys in the open gyms and the workouts?
Yeah, I think it was just really good for us to regain some positive momentum within our program. You know, we had a great run 5-6 years ago with that crew and went to a tournament. We had a lot of momentum building, and then we lost it. You know, we had a couple down years. We kind of went back to the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, in the league, and we had to, you know, kind of hit the reset button and rebuild. And, you know, that's what these guys have done over the last couple of years. And you know, for them to go out last year, you know, have a second place finish in the league, the wins that we were able to have, go to a tournament, win a game, you know, to be able to regain some positive momentum where the program is headed, I think is huge, you know, when in recruiting. I mean, you know, you guys know, I mean, it's the perceptions can change at the drop of a hat, you know, and obviously when you don't do as well, it's a harder sell, you know, to say, hey, come be a part of this. And then when you go out last year and you have the kind of players, 2 guys who make all league, you know, you have guys getting better, you know, the emergence of a guy like Brooks Barnheiser and Matt Nicholson, and, you know, people are seeing that guys get better and also the environments, you know, I think that was a big, you know, the way our students showed out last year, and, you know, Welsh Ryan became a real home court advantage. And so to be able to show footage of, hey, this is a fun place to play. You know, we got a good situation. We play a good style. We developed good players. I think it's really helped us, you know, because recruiting is a lifeblood, you know, this whole thing, you got to continue to have good players coming in and guys that fit your program. And it certainly helps when you have success and when you have high level players.
You know, Chris, I mean, I don't think we can hide the timing. Couldn't be better for you guys, because with the 4 schools coming in next year, who they are, their status, their history and all that, that if you guys were down like you were a couple of years ago, that mountain might look, you know, much harder to climb. I know it wasn't planned because we didn't know all this was going to happen, but what do you think about the timing of just, you know, fingers crossed, where you are now with what's going to happen in the Big Ten versus where you were maybe 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're better equipped. I mean, the league is gonna, I mean, it's only getting harder. I mean, we've seen, and it's fun for you guys. I know these games every night, it doesn't matter who's playing. They're great games, really well-coached teams, really good players, great environments. You know, when you have a good, and there's so many, you might have a couple teams. Last year, it was kind of Purdue, you know, they were the elite team. And then really the next 12 teams, I'm sure they could tell you 5 or 6 close games that if it would have gone their way, you know, they would have been in the tournament and we wouldn't. And fortunately, we won a lot of close games last year. So the margin for error, I think, in this league is so slim, you know, with the parity and the competition. And now to add those 4 programs with great tradition out west with UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, it's only going to make it tougher. The travel is going to be harder, more tough environments to play in. So, you know, I think we're better equipped. You know, I think we're, you know, knock on wood, I feel good about what we have this year. I like our group. You know, we returned 4 of our top 6 guys, you know, who have been a part of winning. I think we've added some key pieces, you know, in terms of some transfers and young guys that can be a part of what we're doing going forward. And, but it's not getting any easier. Trust me. I think all of us in the Big Ten will tell you that you got to keep working. You got to keep making sure that you got the right guys, and then you got to retain. I mean, we're all 1 or 2 decisions away from being in a really good place or a really bad place. And that's kind of where college basketball is right now.
Do you see, because I noticed the one thing about how you guys went about this offseason, do you see yourselves playing in the portal more, going after those older guys, more experienced guys, so you guys can kind of stay old? Because like you said, at this day and age, you may have a 5th-year guy walk out the door at the last minute. And I really feel the way to win sometimes is to get old and grow old.
Yeah, I think it has to be a little bit of a combination. I still think you got to have the core guys that, you know, can be the culture of your program that come in. That's still a formula for us is, you know, we've always been a program, and what, you know, we'd love to get the top 10, top 20 guys that come in the door that are finished products. But, you look at the guys that we've developed, whether it be Boo and Chase, you saw, Brooks Barnheiser last year, you saw, like I said, Matt Nicholson, in the past, whether it was Lindsey, Law, McIntosh, guys like that come in as young guys and they get better. And as they get older, they get a chance to be, some of the elite players in the conference. But we have to also be in the market. The tough thing for us, from an academic standpoint, there are some not hindrances, but some things maybe for us to be in the transfer game as much as others is a little bit harder, with the transfer credits. But, we have been able to mix in some guys that have really helped us, especially in the grad transfer market. Like you said, older guys that are grown men that have played college basketball. We have a couple of those guys with us this year that I'm really excited about. So I think that has to be a continued kind of, hey, we got to get it right with the high school guys. And then how do we kind of sprinkle in those older guys in the portal to fit our needs with those current teams?
So let's talk about Ryan. I mean, he's a winner, helped Princeton get to the Sweet 16, high basketball IQ, shooter, immediately I feel like he checks a lot of boxes for you. What have you seen on the ground so far?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Ryan Langborg. He was a guy right away when he hit the portal. He was an all-in guy for us. You want to try to fit your needs, like you said, on all levels. What is your team going to look like? What are your needs? First and foremost, he's a winner. Like you said, I think that's the one thing I've tried to really focus on even more than I did earlier in my career as a coach. When you bring in high school guys and transfers is, do they win? And, you've seen a guy, he's been an Ivy League champion. He's now gone to the NCAA tournament and beaten in Arizona, beaten in Missouri, had a chance to play in a Sweet 16 against a Creighton. So he's been in big games. He's won big games. He can put it in the hole, and that's a real premium. And as you look, I think last year, our defense carried the day for us so many nights, and I still think it will. But, I think we added some firepower with Ryan, now with him and kind of Ty Berry kind of on the wings and being able, Boo's ability to make shots. I think it's going to open the floor a little bit more, and he's going to be a key guy for us. I mean, we're going to need him, to step in, and obviously we lose a lot with Chase, and I'm not saying he's going to bring what Chase brought, but just in terms of some firepower, some scoring, some leadership, some winning qualities. I mean, he was a huge addition for us to get in the portal.
You talk about losing Chase, Coach, and I see what you're saying about Ryan offensively, but where do you get that defensive tenacity from? Or
That Rapheal Davis.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask
Rapheal.
I was going to ask him. I've been seeing his tweets and stuff. I know he's in shape. I was going to ask him if he could come back and give me one more year. He'd like our scheme, so he'd be good in that system. But
yeah, I do like your scheme.
Yeah. So
probably got a COVID year.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's we're going to miss Chase a lot. There's no question about it. I mean, he was a tremendous player, two-way guy. His lockdown ability defensively and his just ability to create. He was so unique with his ability to get deflections, steals, get in passing lanes. He was a big key cog to our defense with that. I do think a lot of what we've done in terms of forcing more turnover has been scheme based. And I hope that'll still remain the same. We're going to need guys to step up, in that role. No one guy is going to do what Chase was able to do, but that's kind of the beauty of college basketball, in my opinion. Even coming into last year, I thought we were going to be better, but people didn't know how good Brooks was going to be. People didn't know how much better Matt Nicholson had gotten, and even Boo and Chase, coming into the year. Those guys weren't picked to be first and second team all league. So that's what's kind of fun about college basketball. Guys get better, guys develop, there's going to be opportunity now for guys to step up and be in bigger roles. But we're going to miss Chase. There's no question. He was such a dynamic player and what he brought defensively, when you're a defensive player in the year in the league, I mean, it's hard to replace that, but I know guys are excited about the opportunity to get out there and show what they can do.
You mentioned Matt. I feel like he's a great example of someone who he just needs to get a little better in a couple of different areas. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Like, I feel he doesn't need to be some 3-point shooter. Just make more free throws, putbacks, just within his lane,
Mhm.
get a little better in some of those areas. So what did he do this summer to improve that? And tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I think I'm sort of thinking that way.
No, I mean, he's far from a finished product. And the thing that's exciting about Matt is, I mean, some of you guys had a chance at time when he was a freshman and a sophomore and he was playing behind Ryan Young and Pete Nance and some of those older guys. Like, he wasn't even close to being ready, to play in a Big Ten game, but he worked. He got in the weight room, he got in the gym, he worked, he got better. And when called upon and last year, even during the year, I mean, his best game was the last game of the year. I think he gets 17-9 against UCLA. He was the perfect complement to what we had last year in terms of his rim protection, his physicality, his rebounding, shot blocking, ability on the pick and roll game to catch lobs. But yeah, we want to see more improvement. We need to get that free throw percentage up. Like you said, I would love for him to be a guy that we could throw the ball into a little bit. I think the next step, can he develop a little bit of a jump hook, a little bit of a go-to move where, when things get a little stagnant, can you throw the ball into the post and get a bucket or get something around the basket? And, I think those are areas and just continued like confidence. And I mean, I was really proud of the season he had. I thought he was, we hoped he could do it, but for him to go out there and have the impact he had, and he's a huge part of our team. I mean, that size, that presence, and now as a fourth year guy, as a veteran, we need him to be a real anchor for us this year.
And one quick follow-up, but just sort of for basketball 101 people, when that happens, when you can at least trust him when you throw it into the post, what does that do for the opponent to at least respect that he has a chance to score? So maybe you do have to double down. Maybe you do have to obviously defend him there. Or the fact if he becomes a better passer and he's not bad, then you've got to respect that if you collapse, he's going to kick it out so you can't leave open one of your shooters.
Yeah, I mean, I just think at the end of the day, and you guys know this, you follow basketball, for the best offenses are the ones that can get to the paint and attack the paint. And there's different ways to do that. You can attack the paint off the dribble, right? You can get, but a main way you can get to the paint is through the post. And when you can get the ball and touch the paint, in coach speak, that's what we say. It forces the defense to collapse, no matter what you say. And when defenses have to collapse, that opens the floor for shooting, for driving closeouts, things of that nature. And, we really didn't have that low post. Actually, our best post player last year became Brooks. He became a guy that could really score and get fouls down there. But if our big guys can continue to develop in that area, it gives you another way other than just boost penetration or what we get out of the pick and roll game to be able to make the defense collapse, which I think is going to make your offense a lot more functional and hopefully more effective.
Yeah, because you could see the progression over the season. Because, I mean, you could see because I played with point guards that if they wouldn't trust the big, they're not throwing it up.
No doubt.
And you could see early on, Boo wasn't throwing it. And he started to throw the lob a little later in the season. Yeah. You can kind of see it takes the pressure off of him. The defense has to make a decision. And nowadays, to me, you don't get good role players, especially good big men that want to be big men, that want to play their role, that's going to roll hard every time, hit the defender. Because sometimes when you have that option to throw the ball to him and he rolls, it takes someone's with him. And then you have the hook pass to the other wing. Sure. But the guy that I really enjoy watching the progression last season, because I think you guys had and do have one of the best quietly just returning core pieces, is that you got Brooks coming back, and then you even have guys like Martinelli coming back. Where have those two guys grown in the offseason, and what have you seen from them?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought those guys up. I mean, obviously Brooks I felt the last 12 to 15 games of the year, we had Chase and Boo all year. It was kind of a two-headed monster. Yeah. I thought Brooks became that third guy, and it really, that's when we really became a really tough team. When he became that third kind of key guy, it really took our team to another level. Now he becomes number two. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, we know kind of Boo, but, to me, Brooks becomes a guy that, when you talk about having a really good team, you need guys that play at all league levels. I said that before this season last year. I'm like, if Chase and Boo play to an all league level, we got a chance to be pretty good, and that's what happened. That's the case with Brooks. He's a worker, as you know. His dad's a coach. He's a gym rat. He's gotten better. His confidence is high. He's a tough matchup. He's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's strong. He can shoot. He can handle. He can post mismatches. He's just a unique player that, I get excited as a coach creatively, because you get a chance with a guy like that. You can move him all over the court and kind of use him in different areas. But he's a key guy, and knows he's excited about it too. He finished the year strong. He wants to be, one of those key guys. And I think he has a chance to make another jump this year. Nick Martinelli, another key guy. I mean, he really stepped in. We had a tough injury last year. Julian Roper went down, missed the last 12 to 15 games. Nick comes in and really helped us, got key minutes. He's just a crafty guy. He's 6'7", lefty. There's nothing probably pretty about his game, but he's one of those guys you look in the stat sheet after the game and he's scored some buckets. He's gotten some rebounds, a couple steals. Like, he just gets stuff done. And, I think he has a chance to be a really good, versatile forward for us in our program, and someone we're counting on to, again, we need him to make another step if we want to keep up with what the rest of the league is doing.
Chris, I'll tell you, the game I was at, or one of the many games I was at, as much as like we talk about Purdue and Indiana, and unbelievable atmospheres, great games, great to be there. I feel like that Rutgers game, that like epitomized this team, where this program's at, because there was a lot on the line on that last game, the last game of the Big Ten regular season, Sunday night, a lot of pressure on them. Ultimately, that might have knocked them out. And your guys stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about prepping for that and their reaction to everything, in that moment and coming through?
Well, it was a crazy day because it was the last day of the regular season and there were so many teams jumbled up. You had Purdue was going to win the league, and then, really 2nd through 9th was kind of up for grabs. And it was crazy. It was like everything that needed to happen for us to have a chance to get that 2 seed did. That we had a buzzer. I'm working out at the hotel, and Maryland is beating Penn State the whole game. And Penn State goes on a huge run, and Winter gets the putback at the buzzer to win the game, which, knocked Maryland down. Then Nebraska goes and wins at Iowa, which, no one expected that to happen. It's like everything we needed. And then and we're the last game. So we're at the hotel, and, as a player and a coach, you're like wanting to play, but you got the games on, you're like seeing what's happening. So now kind of our guys know, going into the game, like what was at stake. I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but as a baller, like you're following it, they see what announcers are saying and where it's at. And so that became a big game, and to be on the road in that kind of environment, it was the scoreboard caught on fire midway through the first half. It was weird. Like, we're like, we got to play this game. It's too important. But then for our guys to be able to rally, it just showed who that group was. They were a special group. You don't get that all the time. I hope to recreate it. But very rarely do you get a chance, to coach a team where everybody's all in on winning. They were all in on the work. They were all in on each other. And a lot of times when you get those groups, good things happen. And to go on the road and get a win like that in the RAC, or, whatever it's called now, which is a great place to play, was a special win for sure.
Yeah, Coach, because you just don't get those teams. In that last game, when anything is on the line and you have a chance to win the game, it means something. Because I still remember the feeling. My sophomore year, you guys came to Mackey. It was the last game of the season, our senior night.
I remember
we had a chance to finish. I think we could have finished 11th or we could have finished last. And it's senior night, and we knew this going into the game. And we had seniors sell it in. Our point guard didn't want to play, and we lost that game. Right. So, when you have guys step up in those moments, whether it's for 11th in the league or 2nd in the league, that matters. But, one thing that I kind of I'm curious about for you guys is that a lot of your guys haven't played the tournament. I mean, you got guys that have had success now. They felt it, like a guy like Martinelli. How hard will it be to express to these guys how hard it's going to be to try and make it back to the tournament? Because I think my group, my senior year, we made it to the tournament junior year, and then that next year, those freshmen became sophomores, and you can see them kind of relax those shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, Raphael, and really we went through it before, and I think I'm better equipped. I was a young coach at the time. For us to go to that first NCAA tournament in 2017, it was pretty much the equivalent of going to a Final Four or winning a national championship. I mean, when you have 100 years of never doing something and then all of a sudden it happens, that was big, I think
Northwestern,
yeah, and I think we got caught up with it a little bit. Even me, I mean, I'm always most self-reflective. We had a lot of guys coming back, and I think I even kind of assumed, like, man, our culture's there. We're in a good spot, and it doesn't take much, as you guys know. I mean, it's not like it's a crazy letdown, but it doesn't take much to lose that ultimate edge that you need to be good. And that's been the whole theme this summer. I mean, we have a different team. I mean, it's not the same. We have some key guys back. There's no question, but this is a different team. And I kind of like the fact that we have 6 new players, because you have guys that are new, that kind of bring new energy, new enthusiasm, new games to the current guys. I think it makes for kind of a new dynamic, but we got to stay hungry. I mean, we won a lot of close games. I mean, we very easily, like we said, if we don't win the Rutgers game, the last game, we come in 9th, and it's still a good year, but it's a lot different saying we came in 2nd, so, that's how close it was. So, I mean, we have to stay hungry. We have to flush. I'm not going to talk about last year. I told the guys, once we got to the summer, I said, I'm tired of, we can talk about last year when we have our reunions. And we bring those guys back. We can tell stories about 2022, 23 season and how special, but it's over now. And, I feel like there are guys that even the ones coming back feel like they have more to prove, Ty Berry's of the world, Matt Nicholson, Brooks Barnheiser, like you said, Boo coming back, he feels like he's got more to prove and he wants to really leave a legacy. No one has taken the Northwestern team twice. So for a guy like Boo, he does that. He sets himself, to be on the true Mount Rushmore of guys that have ever played here. So there's a lot out there to be had. We still have a lot. I mean, we still have never, played for a Big Ten championship. We've never been to the second weekend. There's so many things out there that this program hasn't done that hopefully we can be hungry and approach it each day and really get after it and understand it's going to be a hard journey because the rest of the Big Ten, the thing about it is I think we've earned respect, so, I mean, I know people know when we come to play, we're going to get people's best shot and those are really good teams and we're going to have our hands full for sure.
Hey, one last thing before we get out of here. And first of all, Boo, I mean, nothing's handed to Zach Edey. Not easy to win back-to-back. He could be Big Ten Player of the Year. I mean, like, that is attainable for Boo Buie this season because we just don't know what's going to happen with Zach. And, you never know. So last thing for me before we get out of here, last year, the stress of, the Pitt game after the trip, the Auburn game that was low 40s by 1, that created a lot of stress in the Big Ten. You have a lot more opportunities in the Big Ten, but when we get there in the non-conference, how do you feel about this schedule to hopefully, not put yourselves in those positions where you have opportunities and then they slip away?
Yeah, I mean, I think you try. I mean, the schedule part is always a big, puzzle for all of us, and now, we're not in the Gavitt Cup. So, we kind of lost that game. We don't have the ACC challenge anymore. So, for us, we wanted to go out and make sure that we found some games that were going to be really good games for us. We're going to play Dayton right out of the gate, which is always a terrific team. They're going to be a team that's most likely going to be in the NCAA tournament, preseason favorites in the A10. That'll be a really good early season test. We're going to play Arizona State out in Phoenix right before Christmas, which, NCAA tournament. I get to play against the guy who kicked my butt my whole freshman year, Bobby Hur. I had to guard him every day. So I know how competitive and good he is. We're obviously always playing DePaul, which is I think they're going to be improved. Which is a good game. And then we have our MTE out in Connecticut with the Mohegan Sun. So, to me, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to get some key wins. And then you got to take care of business. You got like I always tell our guys, like January and February, March don't matter if you don't play well in November, December. If you don't take care of business, if you're not ready to play, you can put yourself in a real hole. And so it's going to be a big preseason for us to get ourselves ready. And we're going to have to come out of the gates ready to go and hopefully ready to put ourselves in position when we get to the conference where it really matters.
Coach, one last thing I got is just that it's got to be exciting coming into the season after going to the tournament, having a good off season, and playing in front of your fans. Because last time you guys went to the tournament, you guys didn't come and play in front of your fans. What is that going to be like to start the
I think
year?
it's going to be great. I mean, nothing made me happier last year to see what our environments became. I was lucky. I had a chance to be a big part of when we developed and made the plans for the new Welsh Shrine Arena. I had my hand in kind of, how we wanted that to look size wise, environment wise. And, I loved what we put together, but the final piece of that is the people have to come, and we knew we had to put a product on the floor for people to get excited about it. And, last year, by the end of the year, I mean, there was lines, 2-hour waits to get into the building. Students, it was a real college atmosphere, and it was everything kind of I imagined that it could be. And I'm excited. I hope that will continue. I know our guys, it meant a lot to our team. It helped us get some big wins. I mean, I don't know if we win that Purdue, Indiana, Iowa games without that environment. The Purdue game, we're down 8 with 4 minutes to go. If that crowd is alive and into it, they kind of willed us through that thing. So, it matters. I know there is an excitement coming into the season. I'm excited to be back in Welsh Ryan and hopefully have the students with us again the way they were last year.
Well, you'll see a lot of us this season. No question about it. Chris, we'll see you in Minnesota in a couple weeks.
Awesome, man. Always good to talk with you guys.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
Chris.
Coach.
Yeah.
All right. We've only got a couple minutes left here. Go first, Raphael. Your thoughts on this team?
I think Northwestern could be really good. I mean, I think they're for me, I'll put them in my preseason top 4. I mean, I think they have the best point guard in the league. I think Brooks could be a perfect second guy. I think one thing great about Brooks is, like Coach said, he's a coach's son. He understands things, and he understands how to be a second guy. Like that Rutgers games and different moments this year, he saw Boo either get tired, foul trouble, or just not have it. And he really stepped up in a big way. And then you get just the growth and development of a guy like Nicholson. He reminds me of a teammate I had, Sandy Marchuse, but just the growth of him. Then you got a guy like Langborn coming in that's just wired to score the ball. I like the makeup of the group. People aren't talking about him a lot right now, but I don't see why they couldn't finish top 4 in the league.
All right. I love that you said that, because now I'm going to have to rethink what I'm thinking. I agree with you. So in that grouping, would you have them ahead of Wisconsin, Maryland, Illinois, Ohio State?
Yeah, I have them ahead of Ohio State, and I probably had them ahead of Wisconsin. Wisconsin, just because they have better point guard play, and then they have the wings now. Now they have big athletic wings, even coming off the bench. Because I think a guy like Ty Berry will come off the bench, play behind Langborn. You got Martinelli coming off the bench. You got Mullins, a transfer, long athletic wing. Now they have depth in practice. Now they have guys that can. One thing that they struggled to do last season was make shots. And I think a guy like Langborn being a third option in this type of offense, he'll make shots. I think Ty Berry off the bench in more of a specialty role, he'll be more productive. So I think if they shoot the ball well and those guys take the jump that Coach was saying, the jump that they have taken this offseason, I think like Coach said, having a guy like Nicholson to throw the ball inside and just a jump hook, let's trust it. That's going to be big for them, because you look at Purdue, you throw the ball into Zach and he's going to score the ball. But there was no other rim activity. No one was really driving the ball. No one was putting pressure on the paint. Northwestern has a Boo Buie who can do that. Brooks can post, and then having that third guy that can get the ball inside to be big. And then they have the identity is made up, and everyone knows their role. I think Ohio State early on, will struggle with roles and who's going to be the leading scorer, who's going to be the guy. I think that's going to take some time to work itself out.
All right, so we've talked to Wisconsin, Ohio State, Northwestern, Rutgers, Nebraska,
Minnesota.
Penn State. But in that grouping, before we get out of here, so we both agree, Purdue and Michigan State, they're going to be at the top.
Yep.
In some order.
Yep.
And then Northwestern, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Maryland, Illinois,
yep.
Rutgers, maybe, Indiana. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason Northwestern can't finish atop that other group.
I think if they take care of business in the non-conference, that will be important because teams like I think Illinois will struggle to find an identity early because sometimes you get transfers, like Coach said, they're transferring to win, and they've been a party winning, and they know how to. I think Langborn will know how to sacrifice his own game for winning. But then you have guys that transfer to get to the league or transfer to go make a bag overseas, and that takes a little bit of time to work itself out. Like a guy like Jamison Battle, he's not necessarily transferring to Ohio State just to win. He's got to revamp his career a little bit and show the scouts certain things. So, and a guy like Roddy Gale, that he was supposed to be a one and done. So now he's got to show the scouts. So that is going to, then you got Bruce Thornton, that's going to take its time out to work itself. You know what I mean? And then Northwestern is put together. It's a well-oiled machine. Even the guys that are coming in, Boo Buie is running the ship. There's no question who has the voice in the locker room, who's taking the last shot, who's the second option. You've seen times where the big fella Nicholson catches the ball at the rim one-on-one, and he's kicking it out. There's a lot of big men, no matter how good they are. If they get the ball on the block, they're shooting it, no matter if it's over the rim or not. So that type of continuity is going to help them.
All right. I can't wait to get this thing going. I hope everyone keeps enjoying it. We're going to keep this going, obviously, throughout October and beyond, the rest of this month, too. So another great session. Rapheal, appreciate you. And I'm going to see you in person here soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Andy.